Consider this part three part two of me discussing the book that is actually. Let me grab it real quick. Hold on. The book that is Captain Marvel: The End. So watch the first one in terms of the actual review. This is more so focusing on one specific thing because I kind of glossed over it. I mean, I talked about it, but I didn't talk about it in great detail. And I saw some of the comments and they were like, wait a minute, what? So I told you guys that this obviously is not necessarily canon because this is just the end series, right? And the end series, for those that don't know, is just basically they depict the end of the universe. They depict the deaths of characters, and they're usually they're not usually one shots. Back when they first started them, a lot of them were series, but this is a one shot. They've been releasing a lot of one shots. I've reviewed and covered Miles Morales, the end, and stuff like that. So, you got to take everything with a grain of salt. But as pointless as it is, though I don't think that these should be a thing, and it is pointless, I think if there is to be one thing in terms of what you get from it, is how that writer envisions the death of a character. I guess that's the only thing that you can get from that you can look to and be like, okay, that's interesting. Kelly Thompson's the writer of this. Never mind how y'all know I feel about her as a writer, but she is in control of Captain Marvel. She's writing the current Captain Marvel book. And so, you get the idea of what she would envision: a more realistic, believable, honorable death that embodies the character, and what would, you could believe that. And I talked about in that last video, the review, some of the odd things about, her not just coming back to Earth and linking up with some of these younger characters that are now old babies. They were babies back in, this takes place in 2051, by the way. So they were babies before, now they're all old and stuff like that. So never mind that. There was one instance where, and I don't know if I don't think I showed it, but I'll show it to you guys now. Let me get zoomed in real quick. So aside from, yes, the one sexuality of the character that we know, of a character or two characters that we know is gay. We don't know even the sexuality of the others, but all of these characters have been having daughters and stuff like that. And amongst these daughters, you see that, so Kate Barton, daughter of Clint Barton and Black Widow. And you had Rhodey's daughter. I think this is the one that threw everybody off because I said what I said, and I think people kind of mistook it for me just connecting the dots as if it wasn't actually said. But no, it was said. As you can see, this Carol Rhodes says, "Pleasure to meet you, Captain." Talking about Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers. "Dad said he named me after the most amazing woman he'd ever known. Mom never loved him for saying it, but she knew you too. Said he wasn't wrong." So you could take that in whatever way that you may. But the important thing that I want to highlight is how just ridiculously silly this is. I understand that Kelly Thompson is trying to write a story centered around making, I guess, the character matter and be important in the environment that she's in for the death. That's the whole point of it. I feel like even as much as I despise this character post 2012, I could have wrote a much better ending than this. But putting stuff in here like this just shows the lack of I don't know. Maybe Kelly sees that this is something realistic that the Joe Blow individuals would tolerate, right? And that is you and your whoever, your wife, let's say, has a kid, and you name the kid after your ex-girlfriend. Now, oh yes, I'm going to pull the race card, by the way. She looks pretty black, right? So I'm assuming that both of the mother is going to be another black woman. Now look, For y'all that don't really know, like to say, Americanized black women, like I do very well. If it's one race of women that will absolutely not tolerate something like that, you naming your daughter, that you know the daughter you have with that woman after your ex-girlfriend, it's black women. You see what I'm saying? Like, that is outrageous. I agree, and some of you guys are gonna agree that other races wouldn't tolerate that. I'm just saying from experience, I know it's like you basically dropping a bomb and it's about to go off at any second if you even suggest that. Hey, why don't we name the daughter after my ex-girlfriend? What the? But again, if anything that you can get from this story would be how she personally envisions the death of the character. I've mentioned that there's no real like tying it all together, no mention of Marvel, no mention of any of that. It was just her basically repeating what she had done before and essentially recharging the sun. She did that with Quasar when Quasar had to pull her out of when she was binary, and Quasar pulls her out of the sun. But again, maybe that's how she sees the world, Kelly Thompson, where that would even be realistically permissible. That's something outrageous, right? Like, that's not, look, we're talking about superheroes. None of that stuff is like realistic in a sense. But that's like a cultural thing, right? That's a cultural thing that I just find really weird. I'm not trying to nitpick it. It was just a highlight of a lot of comments in that original video. And it makes sense why people would I mean, yes, it's kind of weird that a lot of these characters all had daughters. And the one sexuality of the character that we do know about is gay. You know what I mean? Like, I understand that. But, you know, it's a crapshoot, right? So maybe they just had daughters. That's fine. But that deal, right, where she's all basically like, yeah, mom never loved them saying it, but yeah, it's real talk that, you know, I'm gonna be named. I was named after you. Like, what is this? And maybe that's how Kelly Thompson, envisions the world, and she think that would be perfectly fine. I tell you right now, man. For those of us like myself, well, with other black women, you know better. You know better than even suggest something like that.